Elden Ring NEIGHTREIGN passives are some of the most important parts of some characters. Without them, these characters become completely unplayable. And on the other hand, you wouldn't even notice if some of these passives one day disappeared from the character. I'll be going over and ranking every single character passive in Elden Ring NEIGHTREIGN. Now, every passive in this game can be good, and like I said, a lot of these do make or break these characters, so it is kind of hard to rank them, but I'll be trying my best. I have completed every remembrance on every single character, and I have over 28 matches on every single character played. So I think I've experimented with every character a good amount to be able to give an opinion, but still, let me know how I would rank the passives in the comments. Now, in last place, I have the Revenant. Now, I love the Revenant. She's one of my favorites to play. She does some of the most damage in the game. A lot of my friends really like playing her. But I'm telling you this, if her passive one day just completely stopped working, I don't think most Revenants would even notice it. So if you don't know, her passive is basically every once in a while she kills an enemy becomes an ally and they'll help you fight, right? But it just happens so rarely and they go away so quickly that it's literally not even helpful. I've played Revenant, like I said, I think 35 matches exactly. And I can tell you maybe like once or twice I've noticed this come in handy. I feel like it needs like a buff where it just happens way more frequently and they just follow you for like a long time. They don't just stop working sometimes. So Revenant's last. It's a really cool passive in concept, but in execution it just doesn't do anything. Next up I have the Executor. Now Executor is definitely a step up. It's definitely a step in the right direction compared to Revenant, but I don't think it's much better considering it's 9th place instead of 10th. Now, the way his passive works is once you get cured from a status effect, so for example, if you're poisoned, the poison goes away, you get like a 20% damage buff, I think. And this is not bad. I guess it can be useful, but it's just so niche, I feel like. I feel like when are you going to want to proc status on yourself? Now, you could be using Seppuku. That's the only like decent build I've seen people use it. That you could use Seppuku to give yourself damage buff. But my thing with that one is I feel like it just takes too long. I feel like you can be constantly giving yourself seppuku. It doesn't last long enough. And it just goes 20 seconds, last 20 seconds, and then it goes away. If you're going to be constantly moving, I feel like it's really going to bring down time if you're just constantly spamming that. Especially in Deep at Night. And you have to use a heal every time you do it because it takes away 20% of your HP. And you could get one shot by everything in Deep at Night if you don't have your full HP. Still, both things will probably one shot you, but you'll definitely get one shot if you don't have your full HP. So I just feel like the passives above are better. This one does have a niche news, I admit it, unlike Revenants, that's why it's a little bit higher. But I wouldn't really use it, I wouldn't really build around this passive, I don't think it's very helpful. Next up I have Arna, and this is definitely a very good one. I would say this is more of a quality of life kind of thing, more than anything else though. That's why it's a little bit lower on the list. So basically what this passive does is you just get more item discovery, which is really good. You can get better loot, you can get better passives, you can get a better everything basically. You can find better items, maybe find Golf Alpha to at a higher level, but it's not really going to be changing your gameplay like the ones higher on this list are. I want to say after this point, every single passive is literally integral to the character for one, or two, it's just so good even if it's not integral to your kit that it needs to be really high. So I'd say these three are definitely bottom, not because they're bad, but because they're just kind of outclassed by others. Number 6, I have Raider. Now Raider is a bit of a difficult one because his skill is tied to his passive and they're kind of together make the ability, so it's hard to separate them. But I believe the passive is that he gets all basically infinite poise when he does it, and he does more damage the lower HP is with his skill, right? So these are both super great, super integral to this guy's character, because if he could get stunned out of his ability would be completely useless. And his ability is really great for tanking damage and dishing out damage. So I think this is a very great skill. I really do enjoy using it with Raider. I think the fact he becomes tanky is really good. But again, it is a bit hard because I feel like even though the skill is nice, we're not talking about the skill right now, we're talking about the passive. And the unlimited poise is really game changing. It really is. But I feel like most of the heavy lifting is being done by the actual ability and not the passive. So even though it's great, I feel a little bit weird putting him much higher on this list than this spot, especially because I feel like the others are way more cut and dry than this one. This one's a bit vague, so I'm a little bit harder where to place it, but I think there's a good spot for it. Now I'm ready for my biggest hot take of the video. In number 5, I have Wilder Sixth Sense. I think this passive is amazing. I'm not going to sit here and it's not. And I could easily see someone putting it higher. But the reason I have it is slow. I mean, I have it literally middle of the pack. I think it's amazing. Like I said, I think every passive up this here is like basically S tier, and I could see almost any ranking for them. But the reason I have this a little bit lower end on the super good skills is because I feel like Wilder would still be a great character without this passive. Is this passive very helpful? Has this passive won me runs more times than I can count? But I feel like Wilder would still be one of the best characters in the entire game if you took away this passive. Like, this passive doesn't make Wilder. It makes him a great character, it makes him a better option than he would be without it. But I feel like the other passives above really do help the character way more. And I feel like in a vacuum, they do function better than this one. Even though this is a great passive, I'm super open to an argument of this being even 3 spots higher. But this is where I have it. Number 4, I have Duchess's passive, Magnificent Poise. Now, this is one of the most underrated passives I have ever seen. I think this is one of the passives that makes Duchess as good as she is. Now, Duchess already gets some of the most frames for a dodge, and what this passive allows you to do is to connect your dodges. Now, what does that mean? You are able to consecutively dodge almost out of anything. Even if you don't understand the boss's moveset, if you have enough stamina, you can just spam roll and survive literally any attack, which is just absolutely insane for survivability. Duchess has some of the least health in the entire game, but I still believe she has some of the most survivability because of this dodge. The amount of abilities you are just able to avoid by spamming circle is just absolutely insane. Now, Duchess is one of the best characters in the entire game already, and I believe her passive is one of the reasons people hold her such high acclaim. I think it's one of the best ever. The reason I can't put her any higher is because the other 3 that I have above are literally just in the character's DNA. These passives are so good, the character wouldn't be the same without them. Number 3, I have the Undertaker. Now, I honestly don't think this will really be a shock to anyone. Maybe some people will be surprised that this is not higher. This passive is absolutely insane. Now, before I tell you what the passive does for people that don't know, I want to say this. Undertaker has the second most damaging ult in the entire game, and this ult is very hard to miss. I would be shocked if you missed this ult, honestly. It tracks super far away, and it does a ton of damage. Now, what this passive does is you are able to ult again every time one of your teammates ults, or every time that you dodge a grab attack. Now, this means you will be ulting at least once every 20 seconds, no matter what. It is absolutely insane how many ult resets you can get off this character. Especially if you're going against someone like Gaping Jaw, you will basically be ulting throughout the entire match. I think this passive just makes Undertaker one of the best characters in the game. I really don't think she would be as good as she is without this passive. Number 2, I have a two-way tie between 2 characters. Now, Recluse is one of those characters, and ranking their passive is a bit difficult because she kind of shares a similar problem to Raider, as the ability and passive are kind of intertwined. Now, I'll say this, the ability for Recluse is not doing the heavy lifting, it's the passive, unlike Raiders. So basically what this passive does, it allows you to get the element you did damage with and get FP back for every hit you do that has an element in it. Now, I don't think I need to explain why that is so huge for Recluse. Not only is that super nice to be able to get constant FPL and Spellcaster, you are able to constantly do damage. On someone like Revenant, you have to ask your team to buy you Starlight Shards, or you have to make sure you get some talismans that help with your FP, or some relics that help with your FP. With Recluse, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can go all into damage and just focus on doing as much damage as you can and killing things as quickly as humanly possible, and not having to worry about getting FP back because it is a part of your passive. Not only that, most of the damage you'll be doing as Recluse also comes from her passive. So I just think it's one of the best passives in the game. Not only that, it really helps her character, and it's the only reason she's one of the best characters in the game. And also tied for number 2, I have Steel Guard for Guardian. Now, just like Recluse, this character would be absolutely useless without his passive, hence why it is so high. This passive really helps Guardian shine. Now, basically what this passive is, it helps you plant your feet. It's the special guard that he has, and this special guard is the reason that Guardian is as good as he is. He is able to block all sorts of damage. He is able to just tank hits. He's able to counter guard and do a ton of damage, some of the most damage potential in the game, even it might take a while, but it's great for revives. It's great for doing damage. And without that, honestly, without that passive, Guardian would be one of the worst characters in the game because he has the worst dodge in the game. And if he's not able to consistently block stuff and get counter guards, he just will not be in the meta at all. He's already considered one of the worst. If you remove this passive from him, he would be absolutely the worst character. This passive is basically the core part of his character. He would not be Guardian and he would not be a very good character without it. Now, number one, I have Scholar. Now, listen, I'm not really sure if this is a shock to anyone because I have not done research to see what the consensus opinion on it is on the best passive in Elden Ring Night Rain. But if you look at every other character with every other passive that I have mentioned so far, even if these characters would not be the same without their passive, even if their passive makes them who they are, their best part of them is not the passive. The character, you don't build around the passive. With Scholar, what you do is you build around his passive if you want the most optimal Scholar build. Now, what does this passive do? This passive allows you to, the more consumables you eat and you use, the better they become. And the best you build to use for Scholar in D4 and D5 is the fire bombs. The fire bombs can do so much damage from a safe distance. They're so consistent. You can get so much damage negation from bolt crabs. The amount of things you can do with this character if you have all your consumables maxed out is absolutely insane. This character would be absolutely terrible without his passive. I don't even want to imagine how bad he would be, because even though his skills are good, his ultimate is very good, none of them are as good as his passive. I just think this character truly shines when you're fully utilizing his passive ability. And that's it for my ranking of every single passive in Elden Ring Night Rain. Now, I want to say I probably got a lot of stuff wrong and a lot of stuff right. Please let me know what you agreed with and what you disagreed with. I'll be honest, I don't really know the consensus of what the best passives are in this game. So all of these are my raw opinion. Now, I do play this game a lot. I play Deep of Night every single day. So I do have a good general knowledge, but I do still want to hear other opinions. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. But yeah, please let me know what you think about the video and what you think about my ranking. And that's it. Thank you to everyone that watched.